time to talk Pittsburgh with Heather Abraham.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for Talk Pittsburgh. I'm Heather Abraham. To help ease those Monday blues, we have some exciting guests for you today. And throughout the week, we're going to discuss everything from the role of local influencers to the popular podcast You're Wrong About. So let's talk Pittsburgh. Ever wonder what it would be like to be a superhero? Well, a father and son duo are giving students the chance to make this a reality. How this is ensuring every child is set up for a successful career. And spending even a night in the hospital can be a nightmare-filled whirlwind. The local group making the visit easier, one meal at a time. But first, most people can relate to that frustrating shopping experience where nothing seems to fit right, leaving you empty-handed except for those added insecurities. We have Amy Baumgardner and Sarah Simone, hosts of the popular podcast Unqualified Therapists, here to talk about clothing size and body image. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you. Yes. We're so happy to be here.
So first, let me ask you, what is Unqualified Therapists?
So it is a mental health podcast that is based here out of Pittsburgh, and we like to talk about the tough stuff that no one wants to talk about when relating to mental health.
And I think this is one of those tough subjects that we all experience, especially as women. You go in, you have maybe two different brands of jeans, and you have the same size. One of them fits, the other one you can't get your leg through.
Right.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, well, what's wrong with me? What happened to my body? How did my body change? When really the clothing sizes are so inaccurate and all over the place.
Yeah, I don't think there's any consistency when they make the clothing sizes, and so they can fluctuate however many different ways. You can wear one size in one store and another size in another store, and so that can be really hard and frustrating. I personally order online, so my dressing room's at home. That's my answer.
Yes, absolutely. And I would be remiss to say that if we didn't say that we struggled with figuring out what we were going to wear to come on to this show. Well, so we're here talking about it and giving advice, but
we lived it. We lived it.
Well, but it's so true, because how we project ourselves a lot of times through our clothing and our appearance can speak volumes to other people. We know that we interpret it ourselves and others.
Sure.
I said to you, did you guys plan your outfits? Because it's so cute and it stands out, but it really is a big issue, and it can lead to depression and how we interpret our own self-worth.
Absolutely. And I think what's really important, what we've really tried to focus on, is finding that sweet spot of, instead of, there's a big movement for body positivity, right?
Right.
But instead of trying to find the positivity where that can be a struggle, especially as women, finding that positive space, but finding a neutral space and saying, I can accept and be comfortable with who I am, instead of saying like, I love this, because that can lead to some disappointment. And I think we also have to remember too, to give ourselves grace. Like, I am a breast cancer survivor. I had a double mastectomy. And so finding clothing for a while was really tough, and it was a very emotional place. And so giving ourselves grace to say, I've had 2 babies. I have had this health issue and I've gotten through it. My body has served me well, and I'm thankful for that. And so starting in a space like that, and with gratitude for what your body's done for you, can be really helpful moving forward.
And do you agree?
Oh yeah, we talk, absolutely. We talk a lot about that neutrality. That was a new word for us. We did a whole series on it last year, I believe, and that helped so much for me to just be like, I don't have to love every single part of me. I can be grateful that I can do the things that I do with my body. And so I think that that's kind of the space that's helped us, as well as the fact that we've decided that numbers don't matter. You can cut the tag out. You can turn around when you go to the doctor.
Right.
I just did that recently because I was like, I'm not going to spiral after this. I feel good about myself, and I'm the strongest I've ever been. So I'm going to say, can I please turn around? Or you can say, like, you just checked me a week ago. Is it okay to not do it? So the numbers cannot make your day or break it. You have to just kind of let go of that.
It's so funny, because I was at the doctor's and I saw the BMI
Oh my gosh.
chart, and even my doctor was like, don't pay attention to that. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is it here then?
Right.
Like, let's just
Take
get
it
rid of it.
down.
Let's just get rid of it
It's
then.
archaic.
But the body neutrality, I love this idea, and I'm finding this with a lot of younger, like the younger generations, is that they're seeing this, they're adapting to this or adopting this philosophy. Whereas I think about, the people we grew up watching on TV and in Teen Vogue and in all of these magazines, and it was 0, the low. Do you remember the
Low.
shorts,
Oh,
the low,
yeah.
all the way down, so you could see the bones of the hips?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was what was thrown at us
Right.
nonstop when we were growing up.
My daughter asked what we were talking about. She's 13.
Yeah.
And she couldn't understand what I was saying. I was like, but you know, like the sizes, the numbers. She's like, I don't get it, Mom. And I was like, that's
Love
amazing.
that is
Right.
so
Yay.
wonderful to know
But
that.
doesn't even, that's not something they're thinking about.
Right, and at 13,
Yeah.
to know that already
Right.
is amazing. So this discussion really came out of, I saw a Katie Couric article, and in that they wrote about a study from the University of New Hampshire that clothing size is a factor women consider in regard to accepting their bodies, proving that self-worth and numerical sizing are unfortunately linked, and that it can affect our self-esteem too. So I like this idea of getting past those numbers, cutting out the tag, not looking at the scale. What other things can we do to get past this number?
Again, that gratitude as well, but just really making sure that we don't think about the numbers. So I went shopping for this occasion, and I just knew that there was going to be a range of sizes, and that's just something that I have come to accept, to say I can look from anywhere from an extra large to a 3XL, and I'm going to know that it's going to be this range of size, and I'm going to grab a bunch of things, and I need to remember and tell myself my body is not the problem, the clothing is the problem. It's not us, it is the society's standard that they have made for us. And so it's a lot of unlearning, a lot of patterns.
is.
I mean, we were teens in the
Yeah.
90s,
Right.
So it's like that was the time where there was a lot of self-deprecating humor too. So it's trying to unlearn and undo those patterns of self-behavior. So rethinking the way that you approach life in general, but especially approaching shopping as well.
I think that like I used to think, well, if I get to this number, life will be over.
Right.
And that doesn't happen. And so it's that gratitude. I survived. My husband had passed away. I survived my own mental illness and a lot of other hardships. And I think, you know what? You've been through a lot in the past 20 years. And so, you know, you are so healthy, and talking to yourself and working out and, you know, eating healthy just for that sake of feeling good.
Right.
Instead of that number, and not being so concerned about, I don't know, I just thought, oh my God, if I get to that number in this store, like I thought the world was gonna end.
Right.
Like, it was just gonna stop spinning.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't
I'm
happen,
still
you
here.
just keep going. I love this. I hope that this conversation is helpful to other people, because I know that just talking and hearing you two speak about this is helpful to me.
Good, that's so lovely.
And you're not going anywhere, because we're
No.
gonna actually have you guys weigh in on something coming up in a little bit.